Hi, Harmony House. It is time for. Oh, hello, Noodles. It is time for the final chapter of the Magic Misfits, the second story. That's right, we are on chapter 30. So, basically, the story has kind of wound down, right? So, the Vernons and the Magic Misfits, all working together, were able to stop this fake lawyer, Sammy Falsk Esquire, and his goons, essentially, who used to be frown clowns working for Bozo. Now they are working for this character we learned about, but have not actually met yet, named Callaghan. Callaghan was another member of the Emerald Ring when they were kids, and we learned that Sandra has been working with him. Well, she hasn't really been working with him, she's been working for him, and she's been according to her, she's been essentially forced to do it. She didn't want to be helping Callaghan, but he made her. And we also learned, well, they all got arrested, except for Callaghan. We haven't actually seen Callaghan yet, but the Frown Clowns and Sandra all got arrested and sent to jail. So, the Vernons and the Magic Misfits are safe once again, but Layla wanted to go talk to Sandra. And basically kind of confront her, because we determined that her special key that was left with her as a baby at the orphanage was a key that had belonged to Sandra. And so that led Layla to believe that Sandra was her biological mom, the woman that carried her in her belly. And also through this whole story, Layla really wanted to look up to Sandra and believe in Sandra, and Sandra really let her down through all of this. But she still wanted to confront Sandra, talk to her, basically let her know how she feels, with the hopes that maybe they can have a friendship in the future, even though now Layla knows that that's not possible. But, I think it was really nice of Layla to still try to reach out and try to see the good in people. It was really heartfelt, I think, and Layla cares a lot. But one thing that was interesting was that special key of hers, she gave it back to Sandra with the intention that Sandra would break out of jail. What? That would be crazy. So I don't know. But let's read the last chapter and see how they wrap it all up for us. Here we go, chapter 30. A week later, the Magic Misfits met once again at the magic shop. Mr. Vernon watched over them from his spot behind the counter. Presto sat on her perch, while Chango, the monkey, was busy snacking from a bowl of seeds and nuts that the other Mr. Vernon had put together. That's right, I forgot that when Layla and Mr. Dante Vernon were heading back home, they found Carter, who had just caught Bozo's old monkey, and they decided to try to keep him as a pet, and they named him Chango, because Presto is the parrot, and Chango is the monkey. And sometimes magicians will say, Presto Chango, kind of like abracadabra or something like that. So Presto's the parrot and Chango's the monkey. Presto sat on her perch, while Chango, the monkey, was busy snacking from a bowl of seeds and nuts that the other Mr. Vernon had put together. The monkey had settled down significantly since Carter had first brought him into the building. Chango had even gotten used to his new harness and leash, and Carter was trying to teach him the concept of palming shortbread cookies. Of course, Chango kept eating them. It's so nice to have everyone together again, said Layla. Carter added, especially without a gang of clowns trying to beat us up. Even our parents couldn't keep us away, said Ridley. What would Mineral Wells do without the Magic Misfits? Asked Theo. Izzy and I had to come back, said Ollie. Yeah, said Izzy. We needed to find our mice. The twins pulled their pets from their vest pockets and held them next to each other. And they already know a new trick. Oh, really? Said Ridley, sounding unconvinced. Which one? They read each other's minds. The Misfits chuckled, but the twins The Misfits chuckled, but the twins continued. You can do it, Ozzy. Concentrate, Illy. The mice stared at each other, sniffed at the air, and squeaked. They're getting really good. Ollie concluded. If only we knew what they were saying to each other. We heard that Sandra disappeared from the jailhouse, Theo said to Layla. Are you scared that she'll return? Layla glanced at Mr. Vernon for help. She wasn't ready to share what she'd figured out about Sandra. Carter looked at Layla, his knowing eyes hinting that he was in on the secret too. She smiled, and after a moment, he nodded, sensitive enough to understand that the secret belonged to her, and only her. None of the others seemed to notice. Layla simply smiled and said, No, I'm not scared anymore. Well, that's interesting. So, Sandra did use the key to break out of the jailhouse. But Layla's not scared. I think Layla ultimately trusts Sandra. If there's one thing that the showdown with the Frown Clowns was good for, said Ridley, it was practicing our tricks. What I want to know, said Theo, is what was in the book that Sandra needed so badly. And where was it hidden? Asked Izzy. Mr. Vernon grinned. I find that the best hiding spots are in plain sight. Plain sight? Ollie repeated. Isn't that a town up north? Izzy elbowed his side and shushed him. Mr. Vernon shook his head and then reached behind the counter. He pulled out one of his business ledgers. It looked like the same book the Misfits had tossed around the shop during the brawl with the Frown Clowns. The marbleized cover was made of flimsy cardboard. It didn't look important at all. It certainly didn't seem like something that a criminal organization would desperately want to get their hands on. He opened the cover and flipped through the pages. The item descriptions and prices and dates of sales, all written in many columns with mind-numbing precision, were the same as the first time he'd shown the notebook to Layla and Carter on the night Chango had tried to steal it. What is it? Asked Carter. Mr. Vernon backed away from the counter, giving the Misfits space to crowd around the book. Look closer. Do you really need me to say that things aren't always as they seem? Another code, Ridley said. Mr. Vernon tipped his top hat to her. What does it mean? Asked Theo. Sandra was right, Mr. Vernon went on. My little book here hides a list of names that Callaghan would do most anything to learn. Whose names? Carter asked. Your family? Not far off. More like a club. You're in another secret club? Asked Izzy. Tell us. Mr. Vernon laughed, tearing a sheet out from the back of the notebook. It's an organization for modern magicians, and just like your club, its members use magic for only benevolent purposes, never for malicious self-gain. So, he's saying benevolent purposes, they only use it for good, not for malicious or bad self-gain, not for greedy, bad things. So, we finally found out what this notebook was. Whatever Callaghan's trying to steal is a notebook with a list of names of magicians in this club that use their magic for good. However, I've learned recently how extremely important it is that their names remain secret. He tore the page in half once, twice, 3 times. Then he crumpled the page in his fist. Because another club is out there, hiding in the shadows of small towns all around this country. A bad club, who uses magic to benefit only themselves. This bad club wants to get their hands on those names so that they can make the good magicians change their minds. Callaghan is part of the bad club? Asked Layla. The true leader? He nodded and then added more seriously. In time, I'll expound on the topic, but for now. He blinked and then cleared his throat. For now, I'd suggest that you all keep practicing. Magic should be used to make people smile, but you never know when you might need those skills for something else. To help people, said Carter. To help people, Mr. Vernon echoed, sounding noodles. To help people, Mr. Vernon echoed, sounding a bit like presto. He opened his fist and removed the crumpled pieces of ledger paper. But when he smoothed them out on the counter, the paper had become whole again. Ollie and Izzy nearly fell down in shock. Layla whispered in her dad's ear, "Thank you for telling us that. It means a lot to me." "You're welcome, Layla." The other Mr. Vernon appeared on the balcony wearing his chef uniform. He called out, "I'm late for work," before quickly descending the stairs. Layla caught him as he leaned in to give her a kiss goodbye. She took both her father's hands and pulled them into a hug. "I'm so glad you chose to be my parents," she whispered. The men leaned back and looked at each other in surprise. Then they both knelt and kissed Layla's forehead. "Oh, Layla," said her papa, "that's not exactly how it happened." Her dad shook his head. "We all chose one another," said Mr. Vernon, "and we couldn't be happier about it." After another brief squeeze, her papa rose and waved farewell to everyone. Blowing a kiss to Layla, he closed the door of the magic shop behind him. The Misfits were already heading toward the secret room at the back of the shop, the leashed monkey in tow. Theo called out, "Layla, come on. I've been working on something that I want to show you. Hopefully we can incorporate it into our next performance. Our next performance? Carter asked. "But when's that going to be?" "Who knows?" said Ridley. "The point is, we all need to be ready." The group disappeared through the doorway in the bookcase. Mr. Vernon shooed Layla away. "Go on. I've got some work to do myself." As Layla made her way across the room, she reached for the key on the string around her neck. But then she remembered that it was gone now. And in that moment, she felt a strange twinge right in the center of her chest. It wasn't anything so mysterious as the psychic premonitions that Sandra had claimed to experience. More like a tiny spark of hope that one day her fondest treasure would return to her. For now, she understood that what mattered most was in the secret room at the back of her father's magic shop. The end. Yay! That's it! That's the end of our book! We finished the whole thing! Woohoo! So, I thought that was a really sweet ending. Basically, at the end of the book, Layla remembers what's most important. She's got her family right there around her. She feels so lucky to have her dads. She feels so lucky to have her friends. And she has a hope for the future. A hope that her greatest treasure will come back to her, her key. And with her key, Sandra. Because she really does want to have a friendship with Sandra, a relationship with Sandra. And hopefully, Sandra will be able to break free from Callaghan and, come practice some magic with the Vernons and the Misfits. So I like that she has that hope for the future, but also has so much gratitude and thanks for what she has right here, right now, right in the present. She's got her dad, she's got her Misfit friends, and she's really happy. And they're all safe once again. They were able to defeat the Frown Clowns and unravel a whole lot of mysteries that were in this book. And they even got a new pet friend, Chango the monkey. So I hope you enjoyed the story. I had so much fun reading it with you. Let me know how you liked it. I would love to hear from you and hear how you liked it. And I hope you enjoyed having Noodles along the ride, even though she really likes to get in my face sometimes. She likes to be in the spotlight, I think. Huh, Noodles? What do you think? Thanks so much, everyone. I'll talk to you later. Bye.